Have you ever found yourself in a situation where minutes felt like hours, or perhaps an entire day vanished in what seemed like mere moments? Imagine watching a clock, its hands barely moving, as you desperately wait for something to end. Or conversely, think of a truly captivating experience where time simply ceased to exist, only to realize that an entire afternoon has slipped away. What if I told you this isn't just a trick of perception, but a profound and deeply mysterious aspect of your own brain dictating your reality moment by moment? How does something so fundamental to our existence become so subjective, so elastic? The answer lies far deeper than you might expect, hidden within the very fabric of our consciousness. From the moment we are born, time is an inescapable constant. We live by clocks, calendars, and the relentless march of seconds. Yet our internal experience of time is anything but constant. It stretches and compresses, speeds up and slows down, often without any conscious interference. This isn't just a philosophical musing, it's a verifiable neurological phenomenon that has baffled scientists and philosophers for centuries. The ancient Greeks pondered it, with Augustine of Hippo famously asking, "What then is time? If no one asks me, I know what it is. If I wish to explain it to him who asks, I do not know." Isaac Newton viewed time as an absolute, flowing independently of anything else. But then came Einstein, who shattered that notion with relativity, showing that time itself is relative, intertwined with space and observer perception. Yet even Einstein's physics primarily deals with chronological objective time, the time measured by atomic clocks. Our focus here is on something far more intimate and perplexing: subjective time, the time that exists only within the confines of your skull. What are the mechanisms at play that allow a minute to be an eternity or a year to be a blink? How does our brain decide to slow down or speed up the very flow of our experience? To truly understand this mystery, we must venture into the intricate, often chaotic landscape of the human mind, where time is less of a fixed river and more of a swirling, unpredictable current, shaped by forces we are only just beginning to comprehend. The brain doesn't have a single monolithic timekeeping organ. Instead, our sense of time emerges from a complex symphony of neural activity across various brain regions, each contributing its own unique rhythm and interpretation. One of the most significant factors influencing our temporal perception is emotion. Consider moments of genuine terror or intense joy. In a life-threatening situation, time often feels like it slows down, allowing for a hyper-detailed, almost frame-by-frame replay of events. This isn't just a trick of memory after the fact. Studies show that during extreme stress, our brains process more information per unit of objective time, creating the sensation of an extended duration. Conversely, when we are deeply engaged in something we love, a hobby, a compelling conversation, a thrilling game, time seems to evaporate. This sensation is often linked to the release of dopamine, a neurotransmitter associated with reward and motivation. When dopamine levels are high, our internal clock seems to accelerate, making time fly by. Attention also plays a monumental role. When we are intensely focused on a task, external distractions fade, and our perception of time can become distorted. If we are waiting for something, say a microwave, to ding, we are acutely aware of every passing second, making the wait feel agonizingly long. But if we are distracted, engrossed in a book, the same waiting period might pass unnoticed. This is because our brain uses attention as a kind of metric for temporal duration. The more attention we allocate to the passage of time itself, the longer it seems to last. Another fascinating aspect is novelty. New experiences tend to stretch our perception of time. Think about traveling to a new city. The first few days often feel longer than later days, even if they are chronologically identical. This is because our brains are working overtime, processing a wealth of new sensory information, creating more snapshots of experience, which makes the period feel richer and longer in retrospect. Conversely, routine and familiarity compress time. An entire month spent doing the same mundane tasks can feel like it vanished in an instant. This novelty effect is believed to be rooted in how our hippocampus encodes memories. More distinct memories equate to a longer perceived duration. The brain even has internal oscillators, like the suprachiasmatic nucleus, SCN, which governs our circadian rhythms, largely influencing our perception of duration over longer periods. But beyond these, there are even stranger phenomena at play, weaving an even more intricate tapestry of temporal distortion. The deeper we delve, the more layers of mystery unfold. Think about the oddball effect. In experiments, when participants are shown a series of identical stimuli followed by a unique oddball stimulus, they consistently report that the oddball appeared on screen for a longer duration, even though it was presented for the exact same amount of time. Our brains, primed by repetition, seem to dedicate more processing power to the unexpected, stretching its perceived presence in time. This isn't just a lab curiosity. It highlights how deeply intertwined our attention and expectation are with time perception, but it gets even stranger. Have you ever experienced chronostasis? This is the illusion where, after a saccade, a rapid eye movement from one point to another, the first thing you focus on appears to have prolonged its duration. You see this most commonly when looking at a clock's second hand. You glance, and for a split second, the second hand seems to stick longer than it should at its new position before resuming its normal movement. Your brain, in an attempt to provide a continuous, seamless visual experience, fills in the gap of your saccade, effectively time-traveling backward to include the movement itself in what you perceive as your initial gaze. It's as if your brain is pulling a temporal sleight of hand, retrospectively extending the moment of arrival. And then there's the tau effect, where the perceived duration between two identical stimuli is influenced by the spatial distance between them. If two flashes of light are shown at the same time, but one is spatially separated from the other, the one that travels a greater perceived distance will be judged to have taken longer. It's another testament to how our brain's spatial and temporal processing are deeply interconnected, not distinct modules. Perhaps the most profound instances of time distortion occur in the most extreme human experiences. Beyond fear, some individuals who have experienced near-death events report entire life reviews unfolding in an instant, a torrent of memories compressed into moments. Psychedelic experiences, too, are famously associated with profound alterations in time perception, where minutes can feel like eons, or vice versa, often attributed to changes in serotonin and dopamine pathways, which modulate the brain's internal clock mechanisms. These extreme cases serve as stark reminders that our understanding of now is a delicate construct, constantly being assembled and reassembled by our neural machinery. Ultimately, our brains don't just perceive time, they actively construct it. They take a continuous stream of sensory input, segment it into discrete events, and then stitch those events together into a coherent narrative of past, present, and future. This internal clock, or more accurately, this network of internal clocks, is constantly being calibrated by everything from our emotional state to the novelty of our surroundings, creating the unique temporal reality each of us inhabits, a shared illusion that allows us to interact in a world moving at its own unyielding pace. So, what does this tell us about the fundamental nature of reality itself? The fact that time, one of the most bedrock elements of our existence, is so fluid and subjectively experienced, has profound implications. It suggests that our perception isn't a passive window onto the world, but an active, creative construction. Our brain isn't just a receiver, it's a projector, casting our reality onto the canvas of consciousness, and time is one of the most pliable elements of that projection. This elasticity of time perception also deeply influences our memory. Moments that felt longer because of high emotion or novelty tend to be encoded with greater detail and deemed more significant, shaping our personal narrative of who we are and what we've experienced. Those fleeting routine periods, however chronologically long, often fade into a blur. But perhaps the greatest mystery remains: why this plasticity? Why would our evolution equip us with a sense of time that can be so easily warped? Is it to aid survival in high-stakes situations, allowing for more processing power when it matters most? Is it to enhance learning by emphasizing novel experiences? Or is it something even more fundamental, a core component of consciousness itself, allowing us to build a story, to predict, to learn, and ultimately to exist within a meaningful sequence of events? The precise mechanisms are still being unraveled, and the full extent of this time warp within our skulls continues to elude complete scientific explanation. We may never fully comprehend the intricate dance between our subjective experience of time and the objective, unyielding march of the universe. But one thing is clear: your brain doesn't just measure time, it creates it, moment by perplexing moment.